Following the declaration of the presidential results last week, those with interest to contest the results had until Monday 2 p.m. to file an official application seeking to nullify the results that declared William Ruto as president-elect.
Kwamba uchaguzi ulitekelezwa kwa njia ambayo haikufuata rotuba ya katiba, hiyo ni ishara ya kwamba mahitaji ya wananchi vile walifanya kwa polling station haikutekelezwa vizuri.
Azimio presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga, who last week rejected IEBC declaration of Ruto as president-elect, was at the steps of Milimani Courts, the new precincts that will house the Supreme Court proceedings for the next few days, to deliver opposing arguments. By his side was his running mate Martha Karua and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. Behind them, their supporters who turned up in large numbers to help their leaders in the petition presentation. The Azimio brigade would present a lorry full of evidence they claimed would end the culture of vote rigging in the country, and one by one, the evidence was lifted off the vehicle and handed to the judiciary staff. Odinga and his company would inspect the evidence to ensure all was in place. In his request to the court, Odinga and his battery of lawyers are arguing that William Ruto was not validly elected in the August 9th polls. Of his 23 concerns that his legal team is using as a basis and grounds for nullification is that Chebkati, his fellow commissioners Abdigulie and Boyamulu jointly and severally committed irregularities.
The commission as a body corporate has been unable to confirm, verify and tally the results of an election. Can an individual member of that commission come up and say, these are my results? Those are some of the questions that we want the Supreme Court of Kenya to answer.
Azimio are imploring on the Supreme Court to declare that they won the 2022 presidential election and thus declare Raila Odinga as president-elect and Martha Karua as deputy president-elect. And in the event of an alternative, the court should proclaim that the IEBC, as presently constituted, is incapable of presiding over and rendering a credible and verifiable presidential election.
So the matter can go back to the Electoral Commission, but minus Chebkati. We are accusing Chebkati of criminal conduct, of transgressions that amount to violation of leadership and integrity requirements as spelled out in our Constitution.
Azimio is also asking that IEBC and Chebkati avail all the materials, including electronic documents, devices and equipments for the presidential election within 48 hours. On top of that, IEBC and Chebkati are demanding that they avail and allow access for purposes of inspection of all logs of any and all servers hosted by and on behalf of the Commission. Azimio is alluding to infiltration of IEBC servers by unknown persons, which they say compromised the credibility of the results.
KPMG report of 2017 and 2022, they actually did confirm that they were what you are calling unauthorized users who had access to IEBC, and their condemnation was that that system was vulnerable and had been compromised.
The Supreme Court has been tasked with summoning the Director of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to produce statements, photographs, reports, equipments, laptops, and other gadgets and devices or any other materials connected or related to the conduct of the elections and found in possession of the Venezuelan nationals. Azimio says the Venezuelans, whom IEBC says were their staff, had access to information on IEBC operations. Events at the Bomas where a laptop was seized from a UDA agent, Coach Geoffrey, are part of the petition, as Azimio demands that DCI be directed to produce the laptop retrieved and seized and the report of the forensic analysis and examination of the laptop and contents be availed before the court. Odinga's legal team further wants the decision of the four commissioners Juliana Cherera, Francis Wanderi, Justus Nyang'aya and Irene Masit to distance themselves from the presidential results declaration be validated by the court. Other demands from the Azimio team are that an order be made of scrutiny of rejected and spoiled votes and a declaration be issued. Forensic audits of Form 34A, B and C and all equipment, system and technology used by IEBC in the presidential election. Results tallied and verified after a scrutiny and forensic audit be considered valid outcome of the presidential election. Azimio insists that the August 9th election was not held in accordance with the Constitution and should be declared invalid, null and void, and that a declaration that William Ruto was not validly declared president-elect since he did not meet the 50% plus one threshold.
Usiwe every election tunakuja kotini kufanya kesi. Once this thing will be settled, I can tell you, we as legislators, we will make sure that you will never ever want to steal an election.
At least 7 other petitions have been lodged at the Supreme Court seeking to challenge William Ruto's win. Among them is lawyer Okiya Omtata, activist led by Khelef Halifa, a voter identified as John Njoroge Kaman was represented by her lawyer, as well as presidential candidate Reuben Kagame, who lamented on his exclusion despite a court order.
And pray the court to accept that the 4 candidates were illegally nominated to run. IEBC and its chair, Wafula Chebkati, actually deliberately locked out all the independent candidates.
Azimio will now have 24 hours to serve IEBC and UDA with the petition, who will in turn have 4 days to file a reply in their defense. A volume of evidence that have been submitted by the Azimio team will form a battle line for the next 14 days before a 7-judge bench will eventually determine the direction under which the country takes. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Supreme Court, Nairobi.